I wake up, my man. I take my man. I make breakfast, my man. I'm driving, my man. I'm bathing, my man.
Was there ever a day you feel like in recent time where you like didn't think that?
No.
It's never happened.
No.
Just my man at all times.
Miss Latto, yes, Miss Big Latto herself, Big Mama No Kids, recently announced that she is going to be a big mother with one kid. She also announced that she is currently dating Wizard Kelly from the Proud Family, so we can't see his face. But a lot of people have alleged, as well as Miss Latto herself, that it's 21 Savage. It's not only a few girls, and instead it's the entirety of the system of female rap that pits these women against each other and therefore encourages birdism at a premier level.
0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to The Demi Show. Today we're going to be further examining the birdification of female rap. This is going to tie into my video that I recently made about Miss Latto and how she kind of sounds like Miss Erica Kirk. Also go ahead and respond to some of the comments that I got on that video and tie that all into my analysis about the birdification of female rap. So before we can even get to the comments and get to some of the feedback that I received on that video, I first need to go ahead and just provide some insight and context into what the hell are we talking about. First, we're talking about Miss Alyssa, who is better known for her stage name as Latto, or previously Mulatto. We're going to discuss that in this video. So when Latto dropped Business and Personal, as soon as Latto dropped that song, the internet was set ablaze. Like, people weren't really focused on the song per se. They instead were focused on one, Latto being pregnant and what that means for her career, because I guess to some people, Latto being pregnant means that like she's damaged her career, which is something. But one of the things that perturbed me the most, and I think kind of perturbed everybody else, was 21 Savage playing the character and the role of Wizard Kelly in her music video, where he didn't want to show his face because, God forbid, why would he want to show his face alongside the woman that he's having a kid with? Found myself more interested in the fact that Latto is a person participating in like this humiliation ritual. Specifically 21 Savage wasn't even willing to participate in the surface level optics that come with her career, as well as them having a fucking child. Like that was crazy to me. And because I am an internet creature, I was also aware of some of the discourse and discussion around Latto's potential pregnancy before she even announced it, which in the other video I mentioned was kind of sad to me because I feel like that's a personal thing that she probably wanted to share with us, and that ties into a whole thing about parasocial fans and stan culture. And because Latto and 21 Savage suck at hiding things, a lot of people were already keyed into the fact that both of these individuals were dating, whether it was like the paparazzi pictures, whether it was, you know, the stans putting stuff together, whether it was the tattoo. Like, so when Latto dropped Business and Personal, I think we all kind of had a feeling. In this video, which is going to be a part 2 to that video, I am going to respond to some of the comments that were made on that video and hopefully expand on some of the points that I made in the initial video. And then we'll go ahead and further examine the whole birdification of female rap and why I believe it's not only a few girls, and instead it's the entirety of the system of female rap that pits these women against each other and therefore encourages birdism at a premier level. I will also go ahead and touch on Miss Latto and why she embodies a lot of the stuff that we currently see in the zeitgeist with trad wife culture, and also tie that to my whole female rap girls birds analysis. I actually grew up watching Latto, and I remember her being on the little Jermaine Dupri K-pop makeup band type shit that they had going on. So that's how I was initially introduced to Latto. And I've been lucky enough to listen to some of her really good music. And as time has gone on, there's something that I have noticed, and it's Latto's propensity to constantly harp on her body count. And I think this is not even specific to Latto, but maybe emblematic of like a larger issue within female rap. And before I start reading the comments, I just want to say thank you so much for watching my video, and it really means a lot to me. And anybody's comment that I read in this video, whether I agree with you or disagree, thank you so much for even taking time to watch my video and interact with it. I genuinely appreciate it. is this like a director's cut? I do very much look like a pretentious director or like movie critic, so I could definitely see this. I look like a nigga that knows the different types of plays on Broadway, and I don't know that. But instead, I'm going to be talking about the birdification of female rap. The first question I need to answer before we can get into any of this is, what the hell is birdism? And why was I repeating it so much in the previous video? Especially when I didn't define it. And I think it's because I didn't know that many people were going to watch my video. I just thought it was going to be me and the 5 people that watch my channel. And thank you to every single person that watched my little Latto video. And thank you to anybody that is a new subscriber or is new to my channel. Let's continue. So first, let's go ahead and define what exactly is a bird, or how I personally define it. Now, these are my own personal definitions, but it definitely ties into what we already see within the cultural zeitgeist. A bird is someone who seeks validation within our, patriarchal systems by performing restrictive or toxic gender norms and or distancing themselves from other women or their designated community, often through belittlement, as a way to help elevate their own cultural capital in comparison to the rest of the group, and as a way to potentially increase their desirability. So I said all of those words to basically mean, think of something similar to a pick-me. Think of somebody who is willing to do the tap dancing that's necessary in order to get picked by society. And please keep in mind, birds and birdism is a range. It is a scale. So on the further end of the spectrum would be somebody like Erica Kirk, who takes every single minute of her day to ride the hell out of patriarchy. So somebody who loves to talk down on other women and loves to talk down on feminism in hopes of getting high fives from MAGA. Birdism is a more structural version of that. So think of it as a pattern of behavior in which someone seeks patriarchal approval by either performing rigid or toxic gender norms and or belittling other women or other individuals within their designated community to create distance between them and others within their defined groups, that defined or designated community / group. The behavior functions as almost like a strategy and can be strategic because it helps increase that person's perceived cultural capital in a social or romantic setting. And the reason why I keep emphasizing individuals and not women specifically is because I love to call niggas birds, because there are men that do bird shit. So birdism is something that is unisex. It applies to everybody, but that's what birdism is. Birdism is a type of religion, right? It's a very serious type of religion. I feel like the only women who get their cookie jar finesse often get mad when Latto says her body count is low. Laughing my ass off. In a world where women are celebrating celibacy, it's rather odd to get pressed about Latto saying that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I kind of want to just go ahead and group the whole body count comments all under one, because I feel like I have the same response for those comments. Can I tell y'all a secret? The initial Latto video was supposed to be longer, but I was like, who's gonna edit that? So I'll go ahead and use this more conversational video to add this specific section in regards to the body count Mad Libs that Latto was doing. I do not have a problem with the act of celibacy or abstinence. I don't. So I am not somebody that cares if you're celibate or you're abstinent or you're not celibate or you're not abstinent. And because of that mentality, I would never look down on women who are celibate or abstinent. So let me repeat this all. My problem isn't the act of celibacy or abstinence. My problem is the niggas that never shut the fuck up about it. I have a problem with people who feel that they need to be performative or cruel in their abstinence towards other people. I have a problem with people who use that lifestyle choice as a way to judge other people. That's my problem.
I never dated here because I saw vicariously through my roommate how terrible it was. Somehow getting drinks was the replacement of having coffee and breakfast. I personally would rather have coffee or brunch with someone than going. I don't drink. I find it unproductive, not because I'm holier than whatever. I just don't operate that way. But I always thought it was very strange how she would go to drinks with one guy and then go to dinner with another.
I feel like sadly Latto is one of those people that if I stuck a microphone in her face right now and asked her a question about, the global economy crashing, she would probably tell me something body count. That is a problem. That is a problem. When you feel the need to constantly harp on that specific attribute of yours, that's different than people having a healthy conversation or a healthy relationship with celibacy and abstinence. When you watch the interview that she had with Speedy, you notice that even Speedy and even what's Kai Cenat's friend Tylell, even Tylell was fed up with the performance that she was doing. Which shows to me that if you are partaking in this performance as a way to appease and as a way to make yourself feel better than other women, which I do think Latto is doing. I don't think Latto is posting these birdisms for herself alone. I do think she's trying to do this as a way to constantly signal to men that she is better than other women. And I think what you see in this moment is that even the niggas that she's performing for are exhausted with the performance.
But why do you feel like, though, for the women, they should not be allowing men to put their hand in the cookie jar, like you said?
Because they're not deserving of it.
What if they are? What if they are
Then
good?
give them some of that cookie.
But what if it's more than 5?
I never said that was a bad thing. Why does me popping my, I never said that was a bad thing.
It just felt like you're very proud to, like, have...
I am, though.
But why? Where does the pride stem from?
Whoever said, I said I have a low body count.
No,
That's all I said.
you always make it seem as if you could count your bodies on one hand.
I
really
can,
listen to
though.
you.
I can, though.
But why does that matter, though?
That should show you how much she does this, how redundant this aspect of her character is. It hurts for me to see my sister repeat these things because I think Latto is somebody that is not only desirable, but is somebody that is quirky, that has a really good personality. I also think Latto is somebody that has been using her specific platform within the industry of female rap to try to push back against some of the very negative things that come with the genre. And that's why I like Latto. So Alyssa gets on these interviews and all of a sudden I start hearing chirping and I start hearing I'm like a bird playing in the background. It's not the act, it's the performance that is annoying to me. I don't care what you do with your body as long as you are staying safe. Like, I think people that are being celibate or being abstinent for their own health, people who are trying to do this for their own cultural or traditional values or their religious faith, totally understandable. I think my issue with Miss Latto is that she feels the need to constantly advertise this to other people. And I want us to ask, why does she feel the need to do that? And in hopes of what? Like, are you trying to get high fives from men? And if that's the answer, maybe go ahead and delve into that. The way that Latto speaks about her body count shows me that she is somebody that believes whatever insert number body count that she has is somehow indicative of her value. That's a problem. That's a problem. You do not lose value as a person because, God forbid, the nigga is some fine shit. There was a comment that I received from someone who mentioned that, they themselves may practice the same things as Latto, but they don't feel the need to advertise it. That is perfectly my point. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. Next comment. There was a comment that I saw that said, I think the low body count could be a good commentary on self-control, but it's captured by misogyny and misogynoir. This person's correct. The conversation is so tainted by misogyny and misogynoir and people feeling the need to chirp the loudest as a way to get picked. And it's just like, how about we use this as a tool to have a serious conversation about health? How about us making this intracommunal? Let's sit down and talk with each other about how we can do this as a way to protect ourselves and to keep ourselves safe and as a way to protect each other within community instead of it being used as a way of validation for 21 Savage. Like, obviously, who am I to talk about 21 Savage's looks? But I just feel as though if we're going to do this, if we want to bird out, we got to make sense in our birding out. There was somebody that made a point similar to this in the comments, and I think it was just a beautiful comment. I'll try to put it up. Okay, I got another conversation about how is Latto a trad wife if she's out here and she's being a girl boss feminist? And the answer to that is Erica Kirk. There are a lot of women that espouse a very traditional Christian nationalist view of relationships while they themselves are actively doing the opposite of that. So for example, with Erica Kirk, the woman who is now responsible for that loser ass Turning Point USA, who goes around the country telling other women that they need to be traditional, that they need to stay at home, that they don't need to go to work, that they shouldn't go to school, that they shouldn't do this, do that.
Don't worry about the school. Don't worry about the job. I actually think that that's some form of feminism to be so caught up in, I have to have this career and I have to have this and I have to that. It's a distraction.
While she's the same bitch that is traveling around this country, running her deceased husband's corporation while getting on everybody's good ass internet to spew a bunch of MAGA bullshit. There are women who espouse traditional purity culture BS while they themselves are not actually practicing that. It's what some would call a grift. And I understand why people say this, because Latto's music wouldn't align with what you would expect with quote unquote trad wife culture. Like, Latto's music does not read like something Nara Smith would say. Latto's music doesn't read like something that Erica Kirk would say. But then when you put an interview mic in front of Latto, she starts basically parodying some of the toxic elements of purity culture and starts buying into this very hierarchical framework that conservatives, that people like Erica Kirk have pushed. Like, one of the reasons why Nara has been such an important cultural touch point is because people have debated whether or not she is actually pushing trad white culture. When in reality, she is. She is pushing trad white culture. But because there's enough of a distance, a lot of people may think, oh, no, she's not doing that. So on the surface, because of Latto's job description, you may think, oh, well, she can't be pushing traditional purity culture BS. She's a female rapper that twerks her ass on stage. But in reality, when you speak to my sister, and sadly, when you speak to some of the other female rap girlies, you start hearing stuff that makes you go like, wait, that directly contradicts the music that you yourself have created. That directly contradicts what you have espoused in your music, and directly contradicts the brand you have benefited off of. A lot of these girls love to take on the aesthetics of sex workers and love to take on the lyrics of sex workers, but do not give grace or do not give respect to the women that their careers are built on the backs of. Like, so even though the girls may get on songs and talk about how, you know, they're liberated this way and they're liberated that way, as soon as you put an interview mic in front of them or a podcast mic in front of them. Now, obviously, we can't have a conversation about desirability in regards to Miss Latto without having to talk about the whole mulatto of it all.
All right, here we go. Miss Mulatto, welcome to Vlad TV.
What's up?
What's up?
So I got a comment asking about why I had question marks over that specific section. And I want to go ahead and provide some context and, you know, expand on that specific section because I think it's a very valuable conversation. And it's not to dismiss the lived experience of Latto or to dismiss the lived experience of some of the other people who may have similar experiences as Latto.
Was that a thing at all, having mixed parents in terms of the area where you grew up at? So was there any issues at school or did everyone not really make it a big deal?
It was definitely a lot of issues in school. You know, when you're light skinned, you pretty, they kind of associate you with the stereotypical light skin. I think I'm all that girl. So I definitely dealt with a lot of bullying and things like that.
But what Latto was saying right there is something that you kind of hear as a trope when it comes to little dark-skinned black girls. This idea that little dark-skinned black girls are just going around this world and we're just upset sounds like a trope that we usually hear within the black community that is used to kind of demonize little dark-skinned black girls. The big bad bully at the end of this is not the other little black girls around you. The big bad bully system that Latto is kissing the ass of. Because even though a lot of light-skinned biracial women want to believe that they are experiencing reverse colorism, what you're actually experiencing is the backhanded effects of colorism. And the reason why I've come to this conclusion is it's not only because of the story that she told, right? It's not only because of her experience. It's also because Latto named herself Mulatto. Yes. Pun intended, Latto is playing into the tragic mulatto. You would think she would have some type of historical knowledge as to why that is fucking crazy. But no, Latto named herself that. And even when she got called out about this, she was dismissive.
Yeah, English speakers of mixed white and black ancestry seldom choose to identify themselves as mulatto. Mm-hmm. So it's just an old term.
Yeah, it's definitely a historic term, and it originally was a derogatory term. It's not even something that people would want to call themselves. But, you know, for me, it's deeper than just saying, oh, I'm mixed, that's why my name is mulatto. It using the derogatory past, like I used to be kind of insecure about how I looked. I hated my hair texture growing up, and having to go to school and people look at me like, oh, she thinks she all that. Why she's so bright, you know, stuff like that. I took that negative energy and made something positive out of it. Hence my movement being Miss Mulatto to today. So it's kind of like a double metaphor, not literally mulatto meaning I'm mixed, mulatto meaning the term that was once a negative word that I'm using in a positive light now.
Okay. I mean, was it actually negative? I mean, could it be compared to like the N word and so forth?
Yeah, it definitely is a similar term to like the N word. It was like a racial slur to mixed people.
And my biggest critique of Latto is, as a young black girl that experienced that and experienced how otherizing and ostracizing that felt, I would hope that she wouldn't grow up to try to reinforce that system that made her feel bad as a young girl. Colorism, which directly impacted her as a child, it may not have impacted her as much as it did people like me. It obviously did not impact her as much as it impacted darker skinned women, but it still did have an effect on her. In the end, she ended up changing her name, which I give her credit for. And I think it was a good decision because it helps show people that she is trying to grow. But in the moment, she was willing to die on that hill.
And then you talked about changing your name, and then you dropped the moo, and it's just Latto. Why'd you do that?
A combination of things. For one, I never named myself. First, it was Miss Mulatto. Like when I first started rapping on the rap game, before the rap game, whatever, it was Miss Mulatto. I'm growing up, I'm listening, you know, to social media. I'm seeing the stuff that's going on in the world at the time. Like when I'm getting dragged and stuff, it's like George Floyd, and I marched in Atlanta, you know, police brutality, is all these matters that's coming up, and I'm like, that's probably not socially conscious of me. So I was like, you know, I'm pretty much taking accountability for other people's
Races
actions.
or negativity or whatever, yeah.
And something that I wanted to touch on in the other video that I didn't get to touch on, which kind of ties into my larger thesis, is that Latto would benefit a lot from having other women around her, right? Like having more community around her, especially as somebody that lives in the state of Georgia.
We turn now to Georgia, where there's growing concern about the plight of a pregnant woman who's been declared brain dead but has been kept on life support for 3 months against the wishes of her distraught family because of Georgia's abortion ban.
I understand. A lot of people have told me in my comment sections that Latto is extremely rich, so that basically means that all of the institutional barriers that exist no longer exist, I guess. I don't know. But I would like to emphasize that even though Latto is very rich, right? Latto, even though she likes to harp on her biracialness, is a black woman. And she's a black woman from a southern state. I don't know if she still lives in Georgia. Maybe this is why I like subconsciously made the video, because I am genuinely somebody that gets perturbed when I see young women, specifically when I see black women without community. It triggers the shit out of me. And the reason why it triggers the shit out of me is because we live in a world where black women specifically, when they have kids or when they're pregnant, the system does not take care of them. I've seen the stats, and you've probably seen the stats. And those stats scare the shit out of me. The way that the healthcare system is not set up, and the way that those fuck-ass losers in the White House love to use DEI as a pejorative, black women giving birth under fascism is going to be very scary. I don't know if the amount of money you have can protect you and shield you from the internal racism that exists within this fucking country. Like, any of the girls that are having kids, I just hope y'all are okay. I just hope y'all are okay. And that's why her video irritated the living shit out of me. And the nigga that she has been chirping about seems to be somebody that is not available. I watched like some of her behind the scenes stuff, and it seems like she does have friends and loved ones around her. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think 21 Savage is getting his back kicked in enough. 21 Savage and the bullshit that we allow niggas to get away with, where he has multiple kids, has a wife, and then on top of it, gets to date Latto, have kids with her, and in the end, a lot of our attention is focused on Latto. And I've seen the discourse around this. I understand that he is potentially dealing with ICE and you know, immigration enforcement. But can we all just... If a random ass person like me in the middle of who the fuck knows where knows about Latto and 21 Savage's relationship, you don't think the federal government knows? You don't think the chronically online federal government knows about Latto and 21 Savage? You don't think Donald Trump's Palantir United States of America knows that Latto and 21 Savage be playing Sims together? If like chronically online stans could already deduce that Latto and 21 Savage were dating, what makes you think that the federal government can't do that? Immigration and ICE, and you're still doing on serious nonsense. You're doing unserious nonsense. This comment says, I disagree that all the girls are birds in the rap industry. That's definitely hyperbolic as F. They are very present, but all that's there. As young women, all of us, 99.9% of the female population was taught disgusting patriarchal lessons. A lot of these women that exist within the genre of female rap, a genre that was created through the male gaze, a genre that is an extension of the hypermasculinity that we see in hip hop. I saw somebody say, oh, you're just blaming men for this? Really? I'm blaming men for the genre that they help create? Yeah, they may not be listening to the girls, but they're the ones that benefit the most off of these women. Like, all of these women exist in hip-hop as a genre. And are you telling me that hip-hop as a genre is not a hyper-masculine genre? All of the top girlies, and I am talking about the Billboard Hot 100 girlies. They're all created through the male gaze. Signed to labels where men are the ones that are marketing them. Men are the ones that are pigeonholing them. Even Nicki Minaj, even she talked about the pressure that she felt within the industry to conform to a specific standard because the men around her who knew she was so fucking talented were more so hyperfixated on how her body looked. Nicki herself felt so pressured into having to reshape her body even though she didn't feel comfortable as a young girl because the industry demanded that of her.
I was like the little sister with Wayne and Mac and all these boys, you know, J Mills and Gutta and all of them. And all I would hear them talking about is big butts. And I didn't feel complete or good enough, good as those girls, because I'm like, oh my God, you know, this is what you're supposed to look like in the rap culture, and I don't look like that.
Therefore, putting a lot of these women's lives in jeopardy in order for them to be successful. Second of all, this is also the same industry that directly pits these women against each other. Directly pits them against each other. And in order for a female rapper to be successful, they have to take the bait. It's gotten to a point where the girls themselves are actively getting the BBLs, actively talking down on other female rappers, are actively pitting themselves against other female rappers because they know that is their price of entry into this industry, into this genre. If you go back in history in female rap and look at all the beefs, what you notice is the men or the groups around these women start rumors as a way to pit them against each other. And then the women themselves, understanding in some cases that this may be beneficial for their career, take the bait.
They didn't want me to stand beside her, which is stupid.
But it sounds like a Young Money Cash Money thing. Like they did that, not necessarily
but
Nicki.
You got to understand something. She was always throwing shots. I don't know what you're talking about.
I never heard it.
You need, because you're not trying to
I used to hear her pay homage, like she said. She used to say, I love Kim, I love Foxy.
You're not trying to do your homework. That's why, boo-boo, you got to do your homework. If you go on all of those little, the come up DVD, even with Fendi would even say it, yeah, you know, because, you know, she was just a real cocky type of girl, whatever. She always wanted to be like you. She always wanted to be, and she would say, I'm going to take her spot.
Because of how hyper competitive the genre is, and because there's only a limited amount of roles within the industry, it forces these women to be hyper competitive and compete against each other. And it's actually encouraged. And on top of that, it's marketed within the genre of female rap. It is a thing within their job description to be pitted up against each other.
I remember how it used to be when I was doing the DVDs, when I was doing the Smack DVDs, and the chicks that was, you know, that was out before me, and they used to be like, yo, yeah, Ram, whatever. But when I started doing my thing, they started throwing shade on me, like they ain't want to fuck with me no more. Like,
okay.
Now that I actually was doing something, and I feel like the industry, they make it seem like it's 1,000 dudes out here. 962 of them is dead whack. But there's 1,000 dudes out here. But when it comes to the females, they make it seem like it only could be one. Like,
I don't think all of them are coming into the genre to be pitted up against each other. But I think there's a lot of women that are willing to take that bargain or willing to take that risk because they themselves understand that it'll be beneficial in the end. And if the entire system is built off of pitting women against each other, birdism is encouraged because it can lead to these women potentially becoming household names. Within the last 2 years, beef as spectacle, post Kendrick Lamar and Drake, post Nicki and Meg beef, well, I'll say post Nicki and Cardi beef at Spectacle, right, has not only become a thing that is loved by the industry, basically inhabited by the women themselves in order to keep them at the top of their game. If you think I'm joking, look at how the girls start beef before they drop projects. A lot of the girls that we love have a tendency to subtweet, shade, or start beef with other women before they drop music or before they drop projects, because they understand that's how you get the eyes. That's how you get the engagement. That's how you get the attention. And the reason why I say all the girls are birds is because I know that we as fans of these women, as of the genre of female rap, and we as fans of celebrities can sometimes get into this place where we're like, not my fave. Every single one of them are problematic. And that is not a thing to judge them, but instead a thing for us to understand that if most of these women, if not all of them, are partaking in the same pattern, that itself is not only a critique of the women, it's a critique of the system. Because of the systemic and the institutional hip-hop aspect, but also because the girls themselves actively participated in it. And then if we detach the parasocial connection away from it, we come to the conclusion, all the mijas are birds. It's a difference between doing birdism on the weekend versus birdism being in your job description. And I also use the term all because I think a lot of times with female rap, people are more so focused on their parasocial connection with the girlies and less so focused on the institutional aspect. As somebody that genuinely likes female rap and also as somebody that is an internet creature, I am constantly inundated with people having their hearts broken over their favorite female rapper being a bird. So I came up with this. And this is also tied into the fact that female rap over time, with there being more stars within the genre, some of these women have started providing their own version of girl boss feminism. On one hand, they give you music where it's like pow, 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 girl power as a way to push back against patriarchy. But they themselves are willing to actively participate in patriarchy as a way to step on other women, whether in hip hop or outside of hip hop. I know that this may be a little taboo, but I generally do refer to myself as a recovering bird because, girl, we live under patriarchy. We're all trying to unlearn this bullshit that we were taught as little poquito mijas. So we all learned that as kids, as little girls, as little boys, as little non-binaries, little they-thems, you know what I mean? We all learn these things that are very toxic to us. And whether it's culturally, whether it's just societal, whether it's because Disney Channel was telling you that birdism is the way to go, wherever you learned it from, like, you know what I mean? Right? If Damson Idris ever whispered sweet nothings in my ear, you would hear I'm like a bird in the back, and all of a sudden,
and my man, thank you to my man.
Latto and I are around the same age, and what I see with Latto is what I see with other Gen Z women around my age. And I think it's probably best that we as Gen Z women try to figure this out in a way that is, not foreign to the language we use. I'm not even trying to be judgmental because Jalen Hurts, because Damson Idris. Also, before I do go, thank you to everybody that watched the Latto video, and also if you're new to my channel, hello. Hopefully you like that video. I love to talk about politics and culture, and specifically, I like to yap about things and like to interconnect them to politics. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and like this video. I'm also thinking about coming out with more just political videos where I'm explaining some of the stuff that's happening in our world and also trying to give people updates in regards to the news, because even though the news can be overwhelming, I feel like there's a way that we can talk about it where you're informed, but you're not overwhelmed. So if you would like to watch those videos, or if you're interested in content similar to that, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to my little channel on the internet. And thank you so much for watching The Demi Show. Good luck, America.